You want to know something that nobody has ever confessed to you? You are trapped. Yes, you. You are trapped in a prison of your own making, built brick by brick with every decision influenced by others' opinions, every action halted by fear of failure, every fake smile masking your true desire to scream. Feel that tightness in your chest? It's not anxiety or stress. It's the unbearable weight of a life lived for others, a performance for an audience that never paid admission. The cruelest part? No one asked you to make this sacrifice. You voluntarily chained yourself to others' expectations, trading your identity for fleeting applause and momentary approval. Now, as you look within, what remains authentically you? What parts were shaped by fear, insecurity, and the desperate need to fit in? They sold you the illusion that control was the key, that managing every aspect of your life would lead to perfection. But here's the truth no one dares to tell you. Absolute control is a lie, a mental trap keeping you busy, distracted, and disconnected from what truly matters. The more you obsess over control, the deeper you sink into anxiety and silent desperation. You reliving a life you never fully experienced because you always preparing for something that never arrives. Ever wondered why you feel that inexplicable void despite seemingly having it all? It's because what you have isn't truly yours. Your success, relationships, even your thoughts are contaminated by constant worry about others' perceptions. Michel de Montaigne, from his silent tower in the 16th century, saw clearly what you refuse to accept today. Detachment isn't indifference. It's the only path to true freedom. He understood that we're trapped not by external circumstances, but by our sick attempt to control the uncontrollable, our obsession with pleasing others and avoiding criticism at all costs. But what if I told you that the detachment you fear is precisely the key to your freedom? What would happen if you dared to let go of that rope you're clinging to so tightly? That rope you believe saves you, but in reality is slowly suffocating you. Here's the paradox. The more you try to control, the less control you actually have. The more you seek to please, the less authentic you become. And the more you resist change, the harder it hits you when it inevitably comes. The world doesn't function under your control, and it never will. Accepting this isn't weakness, it's wisdom. Life in all its chaos and unpredictability demands something terrifyingly simple. Letting go. Let go of your need for approval. Let go of your fear of failing. Let go of that false identity you've created to shield yourself from judgment. Imagine for a moment what would happen if you stopped worrying so much about others' opinions. Who would you be without that constant fear? What would you do if you knew nobody would ever judge you? That person you see in your mind right now, living without mental chains, is who you really are. But there's something darker, something deeper behind this uncomfortable reality. You fear letting go of control because deep down, you don't know who you are without those chains. You're afraid to discover that your identity has been so diluted, so mixed with the external, that upon letting go of all that, maybe nothing would remain. Here is the liberating and brutal truth that Montaigne whispered from his tower centuries ago. By letting go of what you are not, for the first time, you can clearly see what you are. The freedom you seek is just on the other side of the fear that now paralyzes you. It's not in a self-help book, nor in motivational advice, nor in any mystical secret. It's here in this precise moment, waiting for you to have enough courage to face your life and say, I no longer need anyone's approval. I no longer need to control the unpredictable. I no longer need to pretend to be someone I'm not. Now tell me, are you ready to let go? Or will you continue clinging to control, knowing that each day that passes takes you further from your true essence? This is just the beginning of a journey that you may not want to make, but desperately need. And the decision is solely in your hands. Will you live trapped in a golden cage built by yourself? Or will you accept the risk of jumping into the unknown, into a freedom that may terrify you, but that ultimately makes you feel alive? Welcome to the philosophy of detachment, to the pursuit of an inner freedom that will change absolutely everything you thought you knew about yourself. The path is unsettling, but I assure you, the only thing more terrifying than moving towards that freedom is staying exactly where you are now. You've been convinced that pursuing goals is the most important thing. But what if you discovered that most of those goals were never really yours? All your life, you've been striving to climb ladders that others built, without ever questioning whether you really wanted to reach the top. And now that you're so high up, what do you see? The panorama you dreamed of, or just the distorted reflection of what someone else wanted you to be? We're obsessed with the idea of success, believing that achieving certain goals will finally give us peace. But have you ever wondered what exactly success is? And more importantly, whose success? Perhaps you've already achieved several of those goals that were supposed to make you happy. Studying the right thing, working where it's expected, relating with the right people. And yet you feel that something is missing. That feeling, that uncomfortable truth that wakes you up at night, is the voice you've ignored for too long. Your authentic essence demanding to be heard. Montaigne discovered in his voluntary confinement, away from the noise of the world, something revealing and dangerous. True success looks nothing like what they sold you. It's not a social position, not an accumulation of goods, not even external recognition. True success, the one few dare to pursue, is living fully aligned with your own nature. But of course, for that, you have to know who you really are beyond the mask, beyond the expectations, and beyond that false version of yourself that you present to the world every day. You've become so accustomed to pretending that you don't even notice the immense effort you make daily to sustain an image that doesn't represent you. Want an uncomfortable but liberating truth? As long as you continue hiding behind characters, you will never know true tranquility. The stress, the anxiety, and the constant feeling of emptiness are simply the logical consequences of a life lived for others. But here comes the tricky part, and Montaigne had it clear. Most people prefer the security of an uncomfortable life before the risk of facing the uncertainty of being themselves. They prefer to continue with a half-life, settling for crumbs of happiness, rather than facing the risk of discovering who they really are. And you, which group are you in? Are you one of those who assume the risk of finding themselves, or one of those who prefer to remain comfortably numbed by routine? Because yes, routine is a very effective anesthetic. It keeps you busy, distracted, trapped in a repetitive circle that slowly numbs your will. But what you don't see is that this apparent security comes at a very high price, the total loss of your inner freedom. And freedom, although many confuse it with doing whatever they want at any moment, is actually something much deeper. Freedom is having the courage to be true to yourself, even if that means challenging expectations, breaking patterns, and sometimes disappointing those you love the most. Perhaps at this point you think, what if by being authentic I lose everything I've achieved so far? And here's where another paradox appears. If you really need to pretend to maintain what you have, then it was never yours in the first place. True relationships, the projects that really matter, the achievements worth keeping, survive perfectly well with authenticity. On the contrary, only by being authentic do you discover what really matters and what was simply taking up space. In reality, you have much less to lose than you imagine and much more to gain than you believe. But of course, you must first take the leap, that leap into the unknown, into a life you do not fully control, but that at least will truly be yours. And here again comes the central idea of Montaigne, reminding us that detachment does not mean abandoning what you love, but understanding that only from absolute freedom can you love and build genuinely. Everything you possess from anxiety and attachment ends up possessing you. Here is the message no one tells you. Most live in fear of losing what they have, because they then never allowed themselves to discover what would happen if they lost it. They cling desperately to relationships, jobs, prefabricated identities, and in that effort, they forget that real life begins right when you stop clinging to what doesn't represent you. So what are you going to do now? Will you continue living by inertia, afraid to discover who you are? Or will you finally have enough courage to let go of the known and launch yourself into the uncertainty that terrifies you but holds the possibility of discovering something much more valuable, who you really are, away from control, approval, and fear? This is the path Montaigne walked from his silent tower, and it is the same path that now lies before you. Will you dare to walk it, or will you settle for continuing to be a spectator of your own existence? The answer is yours alone. Remember, when you stop worrying, everything starts to go well. Not because external circumstances magically align, but because you finally align with yourself. And in that alignment, you find a peace that no external success could ever provide. If any of this resonated with you, take a moment to reflect. Consider the story you've been telling yourself and ask if it's truly yours. You have the power to rewrite your narrative, to choose detachment over anxiety, authenticity over approval. This is just the beginning. The journey to true freedom is long and challenging, but infinitely rewarding. Are you ready to take the first step? To let go of the illusion of control and embrace the beautiful uncertainty of being truly, unapologetically you? The choice is yours. And remember, the moment you stop worrying about the outcome is the moment you start living fully in the present. That's where true life happens. That's where you find yourself.